All right, let's set the scene. It's late. You've got a moonlit night and a road cutting through a pretty desolate forest. Three friends, the narrator, Suresh, and Ajay, are all crammed onto one bike, just enjoying the ride. You know, it feels like one of those perfect, quiet nights, but that peace is about to be absolutely shattered.
So they pull over to take a quick break. The narrator and Suresh step away for a minute, and when they turn back to the bike, something's off. Ajay's not there. They start calling his name thinking, he's just messing with them. But the only thing that comes back is silence. And that silence, it feels heavy. A real cold dread starts to set in.
And then, a scream just rips through the quiet. It's Ajay's voice, and there is no mistaking the sheer panic in it. He's begging for his life. Okay, so any idea that this was just a prank? That's gone, instantly. Their friend is in serious trouble, somewhere out there in the dark.
From here, things just go from bad to worse, and fast. The two friends dive into the forest, following the sounds, and they stumble into what looks like a horror movie scene. There's blood on the leaves, you can see drag marks cutting into the dirt, and then they see it. A woman, dressed in a black sari, moving way too fast, dragging Ajay away before she just vanishes into the thickest part of the woods.
Well, those drag marks, they lead somewhere, right to this old, rotting wooden mansion just looming in the middle of nowhere. And from inside, they hear Ajay scream one last awful time. And then, nothing. Just an abrupt, terrifying silence.
So now, they're just frozen. Caught in this classic dilemma, right? Logic versus pure terror. The narrator, he's trying to make sense of it. It's a person, it has to be a psycho killer, we can fight them. But Suresh? Oh no, he's not having it. He is absolutely convinced they're dealing with something else entirely, something supernatural, a witch, a Diane, and he's saying their only choice is to run. But the narrator just can't bring himself to abandon his friend. He tunes out Suresh's panicked pleas and shoves his way into this creepy mansion. The second he steps on the staircase, he sees it, a trail of blood, dripping down from the second floor. He knows he has to go up there, but what in the world is he going to find?
So he takes a deep breath and just bolts up the stairs. Suresh, well, he's too terrified to be left alone, so he follows right behind. They get to the top, look down this long, dark hallway, and they see something that just stops their hearts cold.
It's Ajay's body. He's hanging upside down from the ceiling, his feet tied with a black rope. But that's not the worst part. The most horrifying, grotesque detail is that his head is completely gone, just severed.
Just as their brains are trying to even process what they're seeing, they hear something even more impossible. It's Ajay's voice, and it's calling out from a dark room just down the hall. But how? How is that possible? His headless body is right there in front of them. The terror just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
So, very carefully, they peek into the room. And there she is, the woman in the black sari, standing in the corner with her back to them. And then she turns. She doesn't have a head, but she's holding something in her hands. It's Ajay's severed head, and it's talking to them.
What happens next is it breaks all the rules of reality. This headless spirit, she takes Ajay's head and she places it on her own neck. It gives a few sickening jerks to fit into place, and then suddenly Ajay's head becomes her head. It looks right at them, and it smiles. They run. They are out of there, bolting from that house and back into the jungle, not even thinking of looking back. But a second later, the narrator realizes he's running alone. He turns, and there's Suresh, walking stiffly, like he's in a trance, heading straight back to that cursed house.
The narrator sprints back, he's screaming at Suresh, trying to snap him out of it, but it's no use. The spirit has complete control. He watches in absolute horror as Suresh, just muttering the words, "Bring me my head," picks up a knife and decapitates himself with his own hand. And now the narrator is trapped. The spirit, still wearing Ajay's head, is blocking the only way out. She looks at him and gives him an ultimatum. She doesn't want his head. Not yet, anyway. She wants her own head back, and if he can't find it for her, well, his will be the next one she takes.
He realizes pretty quickly that if he's going to survive this, he can't just run around blindly. He needs to know her story. So he asks the spirit, "What happened to you? What happened on the day you died?" He's hoping, praying for some kind of clue that'll lead him to her head.
And so she tells him. It's a tragic story.
She and her husband were just on vacation at the mansion. He'd gone down to the pond to fish. While he was gone, 3 drunk campers showed up, and their intentions were just horrible. Her husband came back and tried to fight them off, but they stabbed him to death. And then, in one final, brutal act, one of them cut off her head.
So that's why she's trapped here. In folklore, she's known as an adhuri ru, an incomplete soul. Because her head was never buried with her body, her spirit can't move on. It can't find peace. The only way to free her and, for the narrator to save his own skin is to find that missing head and cremate it with the rest of her bones.
Okay, so the narrator's mind is racing, trying to piece this all together. Her husband only caught 1 fish, right? But the killers were talking about frying fish. They'd need more. Where would they go? The pond. And since one of them was carrying her head at the time, the most logical and frankly the only conclusion is that they must have just chucked it into the water.
2 hours. 2 long, desperate, terrifying hours. That's how long he spends in the middle of the night wading through that pond, feeling around in the murky, muddy bottom, all while knowing that a vengeful spirit is waiting for him back at that mansion. The clock is absolutely ticking.
And then, his hands wrap around something hard, something buried in the mud. He pulls it up into the moonlight. It's a human skull, picked completely clean by the fish. He's done it. He's actually found her head.
Now there's only one thing left to do. He finds the spot where her body was buried, digs up her bones, and builds a makeshift funeral pyre. He places the skull with the rest of her skeleton, and he performs the last rites, finally making her whole again.
As the flames climb higher, he sees her spirit one last time. But she's not the headless monster anymore. She's whole. She looks peaceful, complete. Her soul is finally free, and he watches as it rises into the night sky and just disappears.
With the spirit gone, the curse on that place is broken. The narrator runs from the mansion, runs from that forest, and leaves the ghosts of his friends and that entire nightmare behind. He survived, but you can be sure he would never, ever go back. Which really just leaves us with one final, chilling question to think about. If you were in his shoes, faced with that impossible choice, run and save yourself like Suresh wanted, or stay and face that thing to save your friend, what would you have done?